Hello, my name is Siddharth Varde, and this is Unity Fundamentals 1 Mat1 Answer4. So the first question is, what is the essential setup for setup in Unity for detecting collisions between two bodies? Okay, so to detect the collision between two bodies or two different game objects, we need a type of collider on both of the bodies. That may be box collider, capsule collider, circle collider, or any 2D collider or mesh collider, anything. And we need rigid body on at least one of those both game objects or bodies. Okay, so that is the essential setup for the detecting collisions between two game objects or two bodies in a game. Then what is the difference between trigger and collider? Okay, so when I use a collider, my let's say there is a door and it has a collider on it. So when player collides with the door, he will collide, he cannot pass through that door. But if I am using a trigger, then on that door, then I can say, okay, I can pass, when I try to collide, it detects the collision, but it lets me pass through that. So when I use collider, it makes that object solid object. And when we use trigger, so it makes it like a passable object, just a trigger that detects the collision, but let us pass through. So that is the main difference. And if I like when should I use collider and when should I use trigger, kind of thing, then objects like doors and stuff, they can use mainly most of the objects, like ground object, or like ground platform or door. These objects will use colliders in them. But there are some objects, they may be visible, they may not be visible in a game, but then there is no collision, they can players should be able to pass through them, or kind of like that. For example, let's say there is an area where player has to go to open the door. So when player how do we detect that? By using we can detect it by using triggers. So when player enters in it, that trigger will be activated, and when that trigger gets activated, we can do anything. We have detected that player has entered inside the area. So now we can open that door. So that kind of situation we can use. Okay, the third question is, if you are not allowed to use colliders or triggers or unity physics or raycast, then how would you detect two bodies has passed through each other? Okay, so I will do it using vectors. So for example, every game object must have a transform component on them. So they must have a position. Both objects will have certain positions. So at first, when we start, I will detect what is the magnitude of the distance. I will calculate first object's position minus second object. So I will get a direction, what is the direction, or directional vector. Then I can calculate the magnitude of that vector. So if that direction is positive, it can be positive or negative. So magnitude can be positive or negative, but all I have to do is note that magnitude. And when that magnitude, let's say it's a positive magnitude, so when it gets 0 or less than 0, then I know that though it gets negative, then I surely know that those objects have passed through each other. Because let's say there was a direction of this, then there would be direction the vector would be in opposite direction, or 0. So that time I can say they have collided. So, and if it is negative in the start, then when it gets positive or 0, then they have collided. So that's the thing. Thank you.